In retrospect, do you think it was good for the family dynamic, all your relationships with parents, brothers, everything, that the Bee Gees had such remarkable success and became such public figures?
Yes, I do. It's what you dream about. I think I don't know anything else, and I don't think I would do anything any differently. I love music. I'm working with the Royal Philharmonic with my son at the moment, RJ, on the Titanic Requiem, which is for 2012.
When Robin Gibb passed away in 2012, fans mourned a pop icon. But his wife, Dwina Gibb, revealed the complexities of their marriage, including Robin's affairs and their unconventional family life. Today, we look at her insights into their relationship and the love and pain they shared behind closed doors. A marriage built on love, pain, and openness. Robin and Dwina Gibb's marriage was far from ordinary. From the outside, they appeared as a creative and spiritual couple. Dwina, a writer and artist with a passion for poetry and the Druids, and Robin, one-third of the Bee Gees, whose voice defined a generation. They married in 1985, and Dwina later described their union as filled with deep affection and shared intellectual interests. But over time, their relationship was tested by Robin's infidelities. Dwina has spoken candidly about the heartbreak she experienced, especially after learning that Robin had fathered a child with their housekeeper, Claire Yang, in 2008. Quote, "It hurt. It was the betrayal," she said, recalling the moment she was told about the pregnancy. Yet what's striking is not just the pain, but the forgiveness that followed. Dwina said they had an open marriage in some ways, but that didn't mean she was untouched by jealousy or grief. The affair and its consequences forced her to reassess everything, but she chose to stay. As she explained, quote, "We had freedom in our marriage, but I didn't expect that level of freedom." She made it clear that their marriage had emotional depth, even as it challenged her deeply. Robin acknowledged the strain he placed on her and on their relationship, particularly in the final years. Still, they remained close, bound by more than just vows. In public and in private, they stayed together, and Dwina was by his side until the end. She said her love for him was never dependent on perfection. Quote, "Robin was my songbird, my love," she said through tears after his death. The affair with Claire Yang and its fallout. Robin's affair with Claire Yang began quietly, but it shook the foundation of his family when the truth emerged. Yang had been part of the household for years as a live-in housekeeper, and her close proximity to the family eventually led to a relationship with Robin. In 2008, she gave birth to a daughter named Snow Evelyn Robin Juliet Gibb, and it wasn't long before the press caught on. For Dwina, the revelation was both shocking and humiliating. She told reporters she had no idea a child had been conceived until Robin told her, and the news came, quote, like a dagger. What made it more difficult was the fact that Claire had been someone she had trusted in her own home. Still, Dwina did not lash out publicly. Instead, she confronted the situation privately and tried to find some sense of peace with it, though she made it clear the trust had been broken. Robin was said to be proud of Snow, and he made arrangements to provide for her emotionally and financially. According to reports, he bought Claire a house and supported the child. The birth of Snow didn't end his marriage to Dwina, but it did force them to redefine its terms. Dwina later admitted she struggled with how to accept it, but she kept coming back to the bond they shared as partners. She did not want Robin to be cut off from his daughter, and she was never one to publicly tear him down. Quote, "He was a good man, but a complicated one," she once said. Claire and Snow were not present in Robin's final days, and sources claimed the family dynamic remained strained. Still, Robin left provisions in his will for all of his children, including Snow, and tried to maintain some connection in the years before he died. The fallout from the affair left scars, but Dwina never stopped defending Robin's humanity, saying, quote, "He made mistakes, but he was my heart." A complex family life behind the fame. Robin Gibb's life was a study in contradictions. While millions knew him as a music legend, those closest to him knew a man who craved family but struggled with boundaries. Robin had 4 children, 3 from his marriages and 1 from his affair. With his first wife, Molly Hullis, he had 2 children, Spencer and Melissa. Though that marriage ended in divorce, Robin remained in contact with his children and was described by friends as someone who cared deeply about being a father, even if he wasn't always present. After marrying Dwina, they had 1 son, Robin John, known as RJ. The family lived together at Prebendal House, a sprawling former monastery in Oxfordshire, filled with history, creativity, and a steady stream of guests and household staff. That environment was described by some as bohemian, with an open-mindedness that could sometimes blur the lines between trust and betrayal. Dwina has said that they didn't live a conventional life, and that was partly by choice. She was an artist and spiritualist, and Robin admired her strength and intellect. But the structure of their household may have played a role in what followed. The close quarters with Claire Yang and the casual tone of domestic life led to circumstances that might not have happened in a more guarded environment. Dwina never claimed to be blind to Robin's flaws. What made their family life unusual was her ability to hold space for pain, yet keep the family together. Her interviews paint a picture of someone who loved fiercely and without illusion. The affair, the child, the whispers, it all became part of the complicated dynamic she had to live with. Yet she chose not to leave. Quote, "Our love had so many layers," she said, "I couldn't walk away from him even when I wanted to." Facing the end together.
He used to walk through the churchyard all the time. He liked walking through there into the town. He liked going into little bookshops and things, He just loved the village and the town, and everybody welcomed him.
Robin's final years were marked by health struggles, and during that time the family came together, though not without tension. He had been diagnosed with colon and liver cancer, and the illness quickly took its toll. Dwina was constantly by his side, acting as caretaker, advocate, and wife. She recounted how their relationship deepened during those months, even as his body weakened. Quote, "He told me he wasn't afraid," she once said. "He believed his spirit would go on." Robin's spirituality became more pronounced as he neared the end, and Dwina, who had always had a spiritual worldview, helped guide him through those final days. The couple shared quiet moments filled with music, poetry, and reflection. In those moments, the affairs and betrayals seemed far away. All that remained was love and grief. Though Snow and Claire Yang were not part of Robin's final days, his older children and RJ were present. There was tension, particularly around financial matters and the division of his estate, but Dwina tried to keep the focus on peace and care. She later said she felt Robin knew his time was limited and wanted to make peace with everyone. His funeral, held at St. Mary's Church in Oxfordshire, was a public farewell, but also a deeply private goodbye. Dwina wore black and stood with RJ as fans and loved ones paid tribute. After his death, she wrote movingly about their life together and the heartbreak of losing him. Quote, "The bed feels empty," she said. "There's a silence now that music can't fill." Her words carried the weight of someone who had endured betrayal but never stopped loving. As the headlines faded, Dwina continued to protect his legacy, always choosing love, even when it hurt. R.J. Gibb and the complicated role of the children.
So what would Robin have thought of tonight?
Oh, he would have loved it. He would have absolutely loved it because, he's heard RJ sing, he's heard him playing music. They did the Titanic Requiem together, so... Yeah.
So pretty amazing.
He always knew he had it in him.
And in addition to the celebration of his uncles and his father's music,
of course.
he's got his own music, the number of songs he's composing tonight. What do you think of those?
Oh, they're lovely. And there were some actually that he didn't sing tonight that I absolutely adore. So I can't wait for the next one.
For R.J. Gibb, the only child of Robin and Dwina, growing up in the shadow of fame came with unique challenges. Raised in a household where poetry, music, and history were always in the air, RJ inherited his father's love for the arts. But the household was never free from complications. As the affair became public, RJ was caught between two worlds, loyalty to his parents and the knowledge that his father had fathered a child outside the marriage. Dwina later said that explaining the situation to him was one of the hardest conversations of her life. She wanted to protect him from pain, but knew she had to be honest. Quote, "He had to know what was happening," she recalled. "He was old enough to understand, but still too young to carry all of it." RJ has spoken little about those years, preferring to let his music speak for him. He collaborated with his father before Robin's death and has carried forward his musical legacy with care. Yet the emotional weight of those events lingers. Robin's older children, Spencer and Melissa, had already experienced the dissolution of one marriage and now had to navigate another layer of public family drama. The arrival of Snow introduced a new chapter to their already complex family tree. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Robin? Let us know in the comments section below.